What is a vampire's favorite food?
I don't know.
Nectarines.
Oh, that's terrible.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week, we are talking about meal replacements.
Pills, liquids,
Oh,
humans. Oh my.
not humans. Don't say it ain't so. But let's talk about it.
Hungry Squared.
Sharon, how has your week been? Did you eat anything fun this week?
I ate a burrito bowl yesterday.
Ooh, what is a burrito bowl?
Like a taco salad, basically. I just called it a burrito bowl
Oh,
because it's a alliteration.
burrito bowl.
I put in some salad and taco meat that was seasoned with Penzeys taco spice, which is really yummy.
Ooh.
If you haven't tried it, you should really try it.
I
'cause
haven't
it's
tried
super
it yet.
yummy.
Okay.
What else? Refried beans and
Just from the can?
Yeah, I
Huh.
mean, we heated them up.
Yeah.
Olives, green onions, a little bit of cheese, guac.
Was there a tortilla involved?
There was no tortilla involved, but there were chips involved.
Mmm.
And Ike didn't like how I healthified it, so he made nachos. And then I had some of his nachos. But it was all really good. So, yeah.
That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like you could make a burrito bowl with what you may have just left over in your fridge, right?
Yeah,
right.
you totally can. Except we had to buy some of that because it was so this week is our non-kid week.
Mm-hmm.
We do a 1 week on, 1 week off with the kids. And then there's like an overnight every week regardless. But anyway, it's our non-kid week. And so they don't eat things like beans and olives.
That stuff is crazy talk.
Yeah. So we had to go to the store especially for those. And I was
Oh.
really excited because I was like, oh,
We never get to
I
eat
can eat
these.
real tacos. I was super excited.
Well, what do not real tacos consist
It's
of?
basically meat and cheese and the barest smattering of iceberg lettuce.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's a bummer.
otherwise, like the rest of the food goes to waste, or you have to get really creative if you break open a can of beans, that kind of thing. So, because we're the only ones that are going to eat it. So.
Right.
yeah.
I gotcha.
What'd you eat this week?
Well, we had one of my favorite salads of all time.
What?
It's my second favorite salad. No, it might be my first. It's like
Is it the watermelon salad?
No, the watermelon salad is, I think, my favorite spring salad.
Oh,
Or-
seasonal salad.
Yes. This one is a peach tomato salad that we paired and seared some of our lamb loin, that true Aussie lamb, and basically grilled it up on the big green egg and sliced that up and just served it together. That kind of the fun thing, couple of things that are fun about this particular salad is, first of all, you make the dressing with the tomato juice. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I love doing that. Yeah, the tomatoes kind of break down.
Yeah, so you make I think you put vinegar or balsamic and oil and some salt
And you
and
let
pepper
it sit.
and some not chives. Shush. What are they called?
Green onion?
No, not green onion. Shallots. Dang it.
Shallot.
I always forget shallots. I don't know what my problem is, but they're my favorite. So you put that all together and then you kind of cut your tomatoes into wedges and you put it into that kind of mixture. And the salt pulls out the liquid from the tomatoes and you get this it's
a really good slurry.
This slurry is so delicious. Like, it's balsamic vinegar and oil. Great, fine, easy. Like, everybody does that. But when when the tomatoes come into play, it's so good. Okay, so that's the first thing that's kind of yummy about that. The second thing, Lee, so like I said, we have been using this lamb, that's Australian lamb, and we had this lamb loin. So we've never done the steaks before. They were basically like 4 different steaks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so he put a rub on it. And the thing that was kind of surprising about it was there was some cinnamon that he put on it.
Oh, kind of warms it up.
Yeah, it warmed it up. And then it was just really a nice pairing with the peaches that came into play later down the line.
Yummy.
It was just like all of the flavors were delightful. So that's what I ate. And I posted that recipe this last week, so you can check it out at Hungry Squared if you want to take a gander and try it yourself because it's hecka good, you guys. Hecka good.
And that salad is very Instagrammable and tastes as good as it looks, I hope.
Yeah, it was hecka good, like I said.
And now for the main course.
Okay, let's get down to our first topic at hand. We're talking meal replacements.
Sharon,
We're a food podcast and we're talking about replacing our food.
which is kind of sad if you think about it. Okay, so do you know why we came up with this topic?
Yes.
Okay, tell everybody how we came up with this topic.
So Winter asked me a couple weeks ago, had I ever heard of Soylent? And I said, yes, I've heard of Soylent Green. Humans. I've heard of eating humans.
Okay, if you don't know what Sharon is talking about, the reason, so one kind of behind that, Lee, my husband, and our sound editor, hey Lee, he said, hey, you guys should talk about Soylent. And he's like,
And then I said, humans?
so when Sharon means that is there's a movie called Soylent Green that was from, I think, 1966. It featured Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston.
Moses. And I'm not exactly sure what his character is, but I think the general plot is trying to figure out, it's like a crime, like somebody gets killed, a very famous millionaire or billionaire gets killed. And this is in dystopian Earth and there's so much pollution. So people are subsisting off of these green wafers and yada, yada, yada. They end up figuring out that these green wafers are not made of like a super algae something or another, but are made of humans.
Dun, dun, dun. We'll post the Soylent Green trailer, release date May 9th, 1973.
1973. Okay.
In our show notes.
Yes, I'll do that. I think it's based off of I believe it's based off of a book.
And that I didn't read.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think.
Sorry, literary friends.
Yes. Oh, it's called Make Room by Harry Harrison. So that's
yes, it is. That did not make it to my feminist book club.
No,
Shout out friends. Because we do feminist literature.
Yes. So we decided to talk about meal replacement, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Soylent later, but let's talk about the history of meal replacement. It's been kind of around for a while. Wouldn't you say, Sharon?
Sure, yeah. It has been.
Okay, well, tell me about it. I kind of thought it was like, I think of SlimFast, and that was like the 90s.
70s.
70s?
Well, it was first came out in the 70s.
Oh, I didn't
Late
know that.
70s. I think SlimFast is almost as old as I am. Around there.
Look at that.
But yeah, it was popular in the 80s and 90s. A shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, and a sensible dinner. Everybody knew that tagline. Then you've got like things like Jenny Craig and Nutrisystem. These like weight loss diet companies that will send you their food, which isn't. Sometimes it's quote unquote real food, but it's kind of their processed diet food. So that can be considered a meal replacement as well. There's things like Ensure and Boost.
Yes, those came about because of
medical need.
Right.
For enteral feeding, formula feeding, if you will, like people who get fed through a feeding tube.
Yes.
Because they have different chronic or acute medical needs where they can't actually eat. So they need liquid sustenance.
Yep.
Those typically contain ingredients like sugar, maltodextrin, soy protein isolate, and some other vitamins and minerals. Usually the sugar content on those is relatively low, just maybe like a couple sugar cubes worth.
On those like Ensures and such, just because you're trying to control your sugar in a sense.
They still need a little bit because usually patients that are taking that are, again, acutely or chronically ill, say a cancer patient who may not be eating as much due to chemotherapy and things like that. So they just need a lot of, like Pedialyte you'll give your kids if they've been kind of like throwing up and stuff like that. So again, those have a little bit of sugar and electrolytes and stuff like that in them.
So there was a need. I think there's a medical need.
Yeah, agreed. And there still is.
Yes. For sure.
But it kind of, I mean, it sort of started off that way. And then it was like, hey,
What can we do?
this can replace 2 of your meals every day.
'Cause
Did you know?
Did you know that you need to lose some weight?
Did you know astronaut John Glenn and Buzz Aldrin had some liquid diet kind of stuff?
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I bet. That makes sense.
Tang.
Oh.
Do you remember Tang?
Yes, I do remember Tang.
The orange juice substitute.
So now, because it could be easily, it was dried
Mm-hmm.
as a
In a
powder
powder.
and could be easily transported.
Yes. So Tang was invented in 1957 and started selling in powder form in 1959.
Now, NASA didn't come up with that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a common misconception
Right.
that NASA did come up with it because Tang sales spiked in 1962 when John Glenn did his Mercury mission
Oh.
in space, and he took that with him because it's easy to put into a bottle of water.
Yes.
Versus over the years, some soda companies have tried to make specialized cans and different formulas so you could take like a Coke or something like that up into space. But Tang was always
The go-to, wasn't
because it was already in a powder. It was
Right.
the easiest,
Yeah.
I guess.
Interesting.
So the Gemini missions used Tang. And just a few years ago, about 5-ish, Buzz Aldrin confided to NPR, quote, "Tang sucks," end quote.
Is it because he drank so much of it?
Or because it tastes like chemicals.
There is that
I
too.
loved that taste when I was a kid.
You
We
know-
had Tang all the time.
We did too. And you know what? I'll be honest. I think I would maybe not mind it at all still.
I probably would.
Maybe the sugar content would get to me a little bit quicker, but I think I wouldn't mind some Tang.
We also drank Quick. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. What is that? Is
It's
that the
a-
like the chocolatey?
The
No.
Nesquik. Yeah, the chocolate powder.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
It's more
Nobody-
sold as a syrup now. We did a chocolate powder
Oh yeah.
drink.
Oh.
Ovaltine.
Ovaltine.
Yeah. Ovaltine was a staple in college. One summer during college, I spent it at my cousin's grandmother's house.
Uh-huh.
So her other grandmother that we didn't share.
Yeah.
And she was a huge Ovaltine drinker. And so I got hooked on it.
I love Ovaltine.
Yeah.
Yummo. Ovaltine. If anybody knows Young Frankenstein.
So yeah. But meal replacements, I mean, they've been around in Imaginary and in like the Jetsons. They would take those pills, remember?
Yep, but they would cause indigestion.
Yes.
There's actually quite a bit of like meal replacement in pop culture. So I think what got us talking, Lee and I talking about Soylent originally was we were watching Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay.
And Lee makes fun of me because he's a Star Wars diehard.
Yeah.
And I love Star Wars too. I'm not saying I don't love it, people. Don't send us hate mail. Don't send me hate mail, okay?
Yeah. Star Wars was actually the first movie I ever saw.
Really?
So, mm-hmm.
Oh, good stuff.
I'm a
man.
diehard.
So Star Wars, love Star Wars, but I love Star Trek too. Okay. The Next Generation people. Okay. There's
Oh, not the original.
no. Well, the Tribbles episode is pretty entertaining. So, but you know, like Jean-Luc Picard goes up to the little console in the side of the wall and says, "Computer, a cup of tea," or whatever.
Yeah.
And it magically appears. And I was like, oh, I wonder what that would be like in the future. And then I think actually in the future, they're vegans. I think Riker at one point in time said something about how they don't enslave their animals to provide for us or something like that. So,
Well, when you're traveling through space,
Yeah,
like
it's really
space
hard.
creatures,
Yeah.
you could encounter dinosaurs on another planet.
yeah,
I don't know what those taste like.
Who wants to try that? So I think that's the reason why we got onto that topic. And so then we're like, oh, SlimFast, that's been around for many years. And it has been a weight loss,
Oh, my grandmother loved it.
right?
She drank it all through the 80s and 90s.
And then nowadays there's Shakeology and what other things are there? Even just some of
I
the
think
bodybuilder.
Beachbody has like a drink line. Maybe it's
Mhm.
Shakeology. I don't know. But yeah.
But, just like everybody has kind of something to kind of help people out.
And you've got your whey protein and
Mhm.
you go to GNC and you're bombarded with all of these like weird powdered proteins.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So can we transition really quickly into Soylent? Not Soylent Green, Sharon.
So there's a product that's actually just called Soylent.
Soylent.
But something tells me that this hasn't been around as long as Soylent Green. And so I think it's terrible branding.
Okay, well, no, so let's back up. Let's tell the story of how this guy came up with this product called Soylent. Okay. It's this kid, and he and his friends were living in San Francisco during
Last year.
No, not last year. It was a few years ago. But they were part of this kind of tech boom. They were doing startups and that type of thing. They had raised
he's a rich millennial.
They had raised They had raised some money for the technology startup, but it did not go well.
Okay.
So they really only had a handful of dollars left. Okay, not a handful of dollars, but they were really just trying to come up with other ideas to make something work. And they were living in San Francisco, which is notoriously expensive. So they were living off of kind of college food, really crappy college food, ramen, frozen quesadillas, corn dogs, and they actually said that they were also supplementing with vitamin C to prevent scurvy.
To prevent scurvy?
I
They
know.
thought they were going to get scurvy?
So he just kind of mentions, he's like, you know what, this food was becoming a burden to them, especially in this place that was so expensive. And so he tried a couple of different routes of being able to eat. And so he basically lived off of McDonald's dollar meal stuff and Little Caesars $5 pizzas for a little while. And he's like, after a week, I just couldn't do it anymore. And then he tried, because kale was huge. Thank goodness that trend is starting to go by the wayside. We've talked about the kale trend.
Right.
But he's like, I felt like I was starving all the time. So that didn't work. So he's like, I'm an engineer. He studied electrical engineering. And so he's like, I'm going to figure out how I can make this problem that I have of not having enough food, or either feeling like I'm eating crap, or feeling like you're starving.
So he's a smart person and he invented this.
Yes.
This sounds like, did you ever watch Parks and Recreation?
A little bit.
Do you remember that character, John Raffio?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like something he'd make. I made this meal replacement called Soylent. And then it flops. Well,
right. So far it's doing good.
Okay. So an engineer made this.
Okay, so he was like,
supposedly.
he's like, there's got to be some ways to get the nutrients I need to sustain my life. And so he read a lot of papers and tried to get all the information that he could about what we need to live on a daily basis. I'm flailing my arms around trying to Sharon's laughing
We
at me.
as a human race.
Yes. And so what did he do instead? He ended up buying raw chemical components, and then he took them and opened up pills and that type of thing and mixed it all together into a slurry, a lovely slurry.
Mm.
And he started eating, I guess it would be drinking it. And his roommates were like, okay, buddy, you're weird. And it was really kind of revolutionary for him, because he kept a blog as well, and he talked about how the blog post that really kind of put Soylent on the map, or this idea of a meal replacement on the map, is called it was How I Stopped Eating Food. And everybody's like, what? And then of course there were people that were like, you're gonna die, and other people that are like, oh my gosh, I totally wanna, this sounds amazing. And so he was able to basically he turned to the internet, because that's what he knew, in order to try and get going on and raise money. That's what you do, right? In Silicon Valley, you go to the internet. Kickstarter that. I think it was but it was basically, there were people behind it, and he has raised a ton of money. And I really like this, because I was thinking Soylent was going
Humans?
to be, well, no. That was horrifying to me when Lee told me. I was like, what are you talking about? And then I read more about it. I was like, that's horrifying. Why would they choose the name Soylent? And let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Soylent, what do you think of? Does it have good connotations or bad connotations?
Bad.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound that
Human flesh.
good. No, not human flesh. It just doesn't sound very appealing to me.
No. I mean, if you don't have that Soylent Green connotation with it, just Soylent.
Yeah.
Sounds like lint from a soybean, maybe? I don't know.
I was thinking, even sounds like soil. I don't want to eat dirt,
No, yeah.
It's just not good. But I do like this, because people have kind of you're just trying to end food here. And which is really sad if you think about it. Like if you think of the movie Soylent Green, it's like this really bleak earth where there's not enough food.
It's a bleak existence without
Food.
Yeah.
We like the food.
I mean, we socialize around food.
Right. Well, and this is the thing. So, I didn't even mention this guy's name. His name is Rob Reinhardt. Hey, Rob, if you're listening to our podcast, hey, this was so interesting. But I really appreciated this. Sharon and I had a little discussion about this beforehand, but we look forward to food a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All the day long, all the weekends and weekdays long.
We do.
I plan my days around food, I think.
Oh, yeah. Like I look at the menu, like the cafeteria menu at work and base like, am I going to bring my lunch or am I going to eat it at work?
That's smart.
All of my coworkers, when we eat lunch at work, we all walk down together and we talk about like how excited we are for what we're going to eat. We're usually disappointed, but it's like a group effort. We're all disappointed.
Yeah. So and you talk about that, and I think of like, gosh, really just like going and getting a Sunday together as a family or.
Oh yeah. Well, you plan gatherings around food.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about that when we did our blog post about true Aussie beef and lamb.
Oh yeah.
It's all the family gatherings. You celebrate birthdays and weddings and just being together and things like that. And you do it around food.
Yeah. It really does bring people together. And because I was a little skeptical about Soylent. But I really appreciate what he said about this because really it did conjure up all this like there's no more anything. You don't need a restaurant. You don't need you don't need your refrigerators, nothing. You don't need anything else. And he says that's not his vision necessarily. He's like, most people's meals are forgotten. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Like I couldn't tell you what I ate for lunch a week ago.
Sure. Yeah.
It's true. And then he said, in the future, we'll see a separation between meals for utility and function and our meals for experience and socialization. So Soylent isn't really necessarily coming after those gathering times for food, like your birthday parties or your potlucks or whatever, but it's coming for those times when you're like, meh, I guess I'll eat this corn dog, this frozen corn dog.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also brings to mind mindful eating.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a big movement among behavioral health therapists.
Yeah.
And
probably just dietitians too, in general.
Food scientists and things like that. Weight loss advocates is mindful eating and savoring your food, even if it is a middle of the day lunch on a Tuesday.
Right.
Kind of a thing. Even a food that you've eaten 100 times before or thousands of times before, like a raisin or a sandwich, like you can still be mindfully eating that. I think we do a lot of mindless eating.
Oh, yeah.
And, that can process foods like junk food and things like that.
Yeah.
Huge culprits of the mindless eating.
Oh, yeah. I fall victim to that all the time. All the time.
It's all of us, yeah.
So, Soylent. What is in Soylent?
Maltodextrin.
Yes.
I know that's the main ingredient. That's all I know about it.
There's
that
oil.
And the BuzzFeed video that we watched.
We just watched. I'll post that in. That was very entertaining, actually.
Oh my gosh.
There is a little bit of swearing, so just an FYI. So don't watch it if you have sensitive ears and have little ones near you. So it has, in order to get lipids, they have oil, and that usually comes in a little separate container, like a little.
Oh, so they sell the Soylent, and then it comes with a little bottle of oil.
Yep, a little bottle of oil. It comes with a scoop. I mean, they have it so you can kind of build it. Maltodextrin and oat flour is where you get your carbohydrates, and then protein. In order to get your protein, you use a rice. Basically, rice is your protein source. Interesting, right? And so what you usually will do is just mix up the water, and maybe ice if you want to with this oil and the powder, mix it together. And it looks a little like maybe a brown sludge.
Throw up. Watch the video. It looks like throw up.
There's a funny part on that. So it comes in this pouch that is supposed to be your calories for the day. Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner kind of a thing.
Do you drink it all at once?
No.
Or do you spread it out?
You
throughout
spread
the
it
day?
out. Yeah, spread it out through the
Okay.
day. And I think there is a bunch of DIYers. They're a bunch of DIY Soylent fans.
Oh, because Soylent's too expensive for them. They're making their own
No. They like to hack it to suit their needs. So, for
to
example,
taste good.
to make it what they want it to be. Yeah, I think so. So one thing to be aware of is that there's also fish oil, so you can get omega-3s in it. Vegans can get substituted flaxseed oil to get your omega-3s.
Okay.
You will have various vitamins and minerals like magnesium and calcium and other electrolytes in there too. And then because people can't quite get over the flavor of just
Can't
straight
get over the flavor.
vitamins. Have you ever just had vitamins or electrolytes? Like a Gatorade. You can taste the electrolytes. I can.
I guess maybe it probably depends on the drink.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it because I don't drink that a lot.
So they do add a little amount of sucralose in order to mask the taste of the vitamins because they can be not awesome and palatable.
Okay.
So people have described it like it's like a sensation of doughiness when you're drinking it.
Ooh.
Or like watered down pancake batter.
Oh,
Isn't
that's interesting.
it? So
Okay.
that does not sound totally appealing, but a lot of people have just said it's not
So
unpleasant.
maybe it's like licking the bowl,
Maybe. I don't know.
like the waffle pancake batter dough bowl.
I don't
You
like
know.
that. It's not sweet enough for me, but if there's a little sucralose, I might be able to get
Put
behind
a little
that.
shot of chocolate syrup in there, maybe.
Yeah, I should be good. So Rob Reinhardt, he has been basically living off of Soylent. 90% of what he subsists off of is Soylent.
Oh, really?
And the other 10% is he calls it recreational eating, where I'm sure it's like these gatherings and that type of thing.
Do you have a picture of this guy? I wonder what he looks like.
Oh, I will find a picture.
Huh.
She's really doubtful. I
think that's a miserable life. I'm going to put it out there. I'm sorry for you, Rob Reinhardt.
I was actually very curious because I'm like, well, I think I would be willing to try it.
Not me.
I think I would be willing to try it. Now, there's been obviously the folks that are maybe in opposition to Soylent are like, you're not quite getting everything you need.
Yeah.
Like you're making an assumption about what the body needs from papers that have been written, but there's so much science is still being discovered about nutrition and health.
Also, everybody's different.
Yes.
Like nutritional needs vary.
Yeah.
And I think that you can't quite know. I mean, that might be like a universal type thing, but to entirely subsist off of Soylent.
Yeah. It's a lot. And there's, I guess Rob had considered putting in like phytochemicals, for example, because there are certain things that people say that this will help you prevent cancer or,
Right.
lycopene, for example, or the stuff that's in, flavonoids that are in blueberries, those types of things.
Antioxidants and different things.
And so, but he's like, meh, you don't there's not great definitive data on it. So I'm wondering if there is more good data as it comes out, if formulas will change of Soylent.
Have you ever done a liquid diet?
No, I have not.
I have.
Is it? I think it would be pretty miserable.
It is. I'll just put it out there.
I think I would be a little sad.
I did a smoothie cleanse. So I've done a couple of elimination diets because I've got allergies.
You had a weird allergy bout. I remember that.
Yeah. So I've had just a couple of random instances where my tongue and my throat has swelled up to the point where, I think you need to go to the emergency room. Your tongue doesn't fit in your mouth anymore.
This is awkward.
It was way awkward.
Really awkward.
Yeah, it was way awkward. Ask Ike. He still laughs about it to this day. So I wanted to get to the bottom of it, but I also didn't want to go to the doctor because I thought I could just fix it. So I did an elimination diet, and the particular one I chose was very restrictive,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted it to be restrictive. So as I added things back in, I would know
You could
for
identify.
sure if I was having any kind of sensitivity to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd gone to my primary care physician, and she had said, "Oh,
It's okay.
yeah." She's like, "Go for it. See what happens." I showed her the elimination diet that I was doing, and she was like, "Okay." And it required a green juice smoothie, basically like 3 times a day for the first 3 days.
That's a lot. I mean,
And then you slowly, like super slowly added foods back in. So, I mean, that first week I was eating the green smoothies,
mm-hmm.
and then like, I don't even know if I could eat citrus at that point. It was like no nightshades and things like that. It was from
tomatoes, nightshades or tomatoes
and potatoes.
and potatoes.
It was from the Whole Life Nutrition Cookbook.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of specialize in food allergies and things like that, and specialized diets. So that's where I got the elimination diet from. But it was very restrictive, and gosh, I was hungry. I was so hungry
Well,
all the time. I was cranky,
yeah, I think
and I would have this sense of fullness because these green smoothies are entirely plants and water.
right.
And so I was getting a ton of fiber, and I felt lighter and wasn't having any reactions. So I felt good that way and kind of felt full, but I was really hungry.
Well, I think satiety is also in your head too.
Yeah.
And those will make you full for a short amount of time, but
Mhm.
that will empty quickly and it doesn't stick. They talk about sticking to your bones or sticking to your, in your
there
gut.
wasn't a lot of carbs
Mhm. Or protein, right? There's no protein really.
well, there's plant protein.
Yeah.
So technically there is some protein, but it's not like having beef jerky
Yeah.
or even like tofu or something like that.
So I think that's kind of where I think some of the meal replacements fail, is that they don't have enough calories or the things that your body needs. So like the SlimFast, I mean, it's really only like it's like 200 calories, and it's a lot of
Yeah.
sugar.
It's a
For
ton of sugar. There's like 18 grams of sugar.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'm like,
It's almost like drinking a candy bar.
Soylent is kind of this, they purport that it's going to have all of the things you need for a meal. Like if you're going to sit down and have a meal, this is what you would have. Soylent has been around it was probably the first one that was like, this is going to be a complete meal replacement, not just a diet aid or something like that.
Oh,
There have been many other companies that have popped up in different countries. So I think India has a version of it. Australia, Soylent. Yep. Oh, there's one called in China, actually, because once again, this gentleman right here, Zhao Shengkai, he was basically not chained to his desk, but he was working long hours as like a programmer.
Workaholic.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't leave his desk, and he saw many kind of a need. And so he tweaked his formula for what the people in China would like. And the name of his company is called Ru Food, but I think it's Ru Fan, which is basically means like rice.
like rice, but not.
Yeah.
Liquefied rice.
Yeah. Kind of this same deal is that it's convenient. You need nutrition. You don't have time, which is a little sad that you don't have time to leave your desk.
You refuse to make time.
Yeah. And have a liquid meal at your desk. It's interesting. I think people use these meal replacements for many things, whether it's not enough time. You don't like to cook. You need to lose some weight. I mean, I guess you could maybe do some quote unquote calorie restriction with these meal replacements too.
It's probably easier because it's just clearly labeled. And so you have this and you know that is X amount of calories.
Yeah. And you can
whether it's 200 calories from your SlimFast shake or it's Soylent, which is
500 to 750.
per
think
serving.
think about it. A lot of these pouches are 2,000 calories for the
because
day.
it's your day. Yeah. So if you're doing a calorie restriction, then you would probably not want to eat an entire pouch
for the entire day. Yeah. Depending on what your
calorie restriction needs
and
were.
you can kind of, I think when you go online to order something, you can punch in what type of person you are. Like, I'm a female. I'm kind of a couch potato, you know, like
Yeah,
you're
female. I'm 5'10" and I weigh X amount of pounds.
Yep, and
this is my
I work out twice
activity
a week,
level.
you know, and then they can kind of tweak what you would need calorie demands for the day. So yeah, it's just really interesting. So we did one thing I do want to mention. I've mentioned the kind of DIY Soylent people. They hack it so that it is something. Yeah, they just come up with different formulas, and they actually
Is it tasty?
some
Is it
people
more
with
tasty
cocoa.
than
I mean,
regular Soylent?
well, I think they are trying to, people that are DIY Soylenting is they are trying to hack it as well to find the right amount of nutrition. And people have actually talked about, because he put his formula, like everything that he puts.
Oh, he put it out there?
It's out there.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And they actually attributed that it was a really wise marketing campaign that he didn't mean to do, because it has created this super loyal fan base, these DIY Soylent people. And those people talk about Soylent.
Weird subculture.
Yeah.
If you're part of the Soylent subculture,
we want to know who
email
you are.
us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I think eventually he would love to, because he thinks also in general farms are really inefficient. So he's hoping at some point in time he's able to harvest different things from algae in the sea
Sure,
and
yeah.
create something that can produce all of the needs that we need basically for your body. And it really does sound like the movie Soylent Green, because they talk about this algae. Okay, it's not. I'm sorry.
It totally is.
How can I not bring up the movie, because it's
gross.
yeah.
This is gross.
Yeah.
And sad.
So yes, I really enjoyed this, and like I said, that BuzzFeed movie is kind of funny.
You guys should try it. Watch it. There is closed captioning on it. So if your kids are nearby, make sure you turn off the sound and just read it.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can't read it.
Yeah.
But I am basically like the first guy in that little.
The guy that eats Chipotle and
and in and out every day. So I don't eat that every day.
But
I
that's
eat that
her
rarely.
sentiment.
But I share his sentiments.
Yes. Yeah. I think I would be like the girl in it, actually. I'd be like, I can see that.
The girl in it, I thought it was interesting. So it said she eats at least 2 meals a day and eats grilled cheeses daily.
Yeah. That would be hard.
It would be hard.
You know, when you're on a diet in general, it's hard to get used to like not being able to splurge in those.
Or eating your comfort foods.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of emotion in food. We'll have to talk about that at some point in time.
There's a lot of negative emotion that I feel about Soylent. Sorry, Rob Reinhardt.
I want to try it.
So if you're willing to send Winter a free sample.
No, I was going to Lee and I were like, we should try it. Like, let's just try it.
I'm pretty sure Lee did not say, let's try it.
No.
I'm pretty sure you said, hey, Lee, we're going to try it.
You know what? He's a good sport about pretty much everything.
Oh, I'm not doubting he's a good sport. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure that I know that he did not say that.
Yeah. So a couple of other pop culture references, because I think it's eventually going to go this direction. So Star Trek Next Generation, Ray Bradbury, my favorite author, he talks about it in the Martian Chronicles about having these replacement pills, basically meal pills.
Yeah.
And you think about Willy Wonka and his gum.
Willy Wonka.
You know?
Willy Wonka.
He had a 3-course meal and a piece of gum.
Yep.
And let's see, what other ones would you think of? The Jetsons we already talked about. We could get really super morbid and talk about the Matrix, right? Because there's humans being fed by liquefied other humans to keep those alive so that the machines or something can, I don't know, get powered. I'm not totally sure how that all works.
I don't remember. It's been so long since I watched that.
Yeah. So it's everywhere in pop culture. One thing that I think is really cool that maybe we should explore in the future is 3D printers of food.
Oh yeah.
Like,
that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of cool stuff with chocolate printing.
Yeah.
And artistry, like making sculptures and stuff like that.
Out of sugar, right? Stuff like that. So
with 3D printers.
So I know that I'm sure that it will eventually develop, but that's kind of what they're trying to go after, the Star Trek food replicator thing with the 3D printers.
Okay.
That's what I think. So But I really, really like food. Let's just put that on the table. I still love food. I might try the Soylent. I actually saw this week online, a friend of mine, she writes at the Kitchen Overlord, and she is traveling the country right now and like basically couch surfing. And she is a chef, a trained chef, and she will make you food from the region that you're from. So she's going to every state. And she actually made a pie out of Soylent.
Really?
So I actually haven't asked her how it tasted, but it didn't.
Throw up pie.
No, it was pink in color. So I don't know if there was a Soylent, what she combined with it. So I'll have to ask her what that was about. But if you want to check out her travels, or if you want to host her and have a meal made by her, she would be happy to do that. So I'll put that in the show notes. But yeah.
Oh man.
Soylent pie.
Oof. There's a lot of theme parties that I've seen online around food lately of note. So if you don't want sad Soylent type food, it's a celebratory time right now. We're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter.
Yep.
I've seen a lot
July
of Harry
30th.
Potter themed food.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones is back on.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of Game of Thrones stuff that was showing up
Yeah.
in my...
Feast of Queens
Yeah.
was one that was awesome that I saw.
Yeah, Harry Potter's birthday is
A
on
lot of
July
cool
30th,
things.
I think. July 30th? Am I right? Am I wrong?
It's around there, yeah.
It's around there, so you can totally have a Harry Potter. There's good fun stuff. So if you want to enjoy the 10% of food that is not Soylent based, throw yourself
What a sad diet. Drink a butterbeer, people.
Butterbeer. Our podcast is brought to you by our awesome and food-loving sponsors. We are partnering with True Aussie Beef and Lamb and the Big Green Egg to bring you the Grill on the Green sweepstakes.
Hashtag own your party. Hashtag greater outdoors.
Seriously, you guys, it's super fun. So as you know that Sharon made her smoked lamb tacos last week, and I made this lovely seared lamb loin on peaches and tomato salad. It's just been really super fun. We just want to introduce all the good stuff that you can eat. Sharon, one thing, did you notice how tender it was?
So tender.
Like, I couldn't believe it. And this is the other thing that I noticed is that lamb that I've gotten in the past can often be very gamey.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. True Aussie Beef and Lamb is not gamey.
Totally. And
This is top shelf, top of the line, really good stuff lamb.
And it's grass-fed, non-GMO, no antibiotics. I was shocked. I was like, this is lamb. Like, if I didn't know that we had made lamb, I would have been like, oh, this is a dang good steak.
Mm-hmm. It's good
It's
stuff.
It's leaner. You just get more protein for a serving.
Yeah, and your picky eaters are going to love it because this is good stuff. True Aussie Beef and Lamb is the straight from the shepherd.
It is dang.
And the rancher.
It's dang good. And we will have a link in our show notes of where you can find Australian lamb and beef. We went to Costco.
Or you could go to Whole Foods.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely options. So just ask your butcher and see where it's at. The other thing that is really fun about this is that we have a sweepstakes that you can enter, and we want one of our listeners to win.
You can go to grillonthegreen.com, and that green is a big green egg. You can get a large size big green egg by going to grillonthegreen.com and entering to win, and tell them that Hungry Squared referred you. Yeah, that's all you have to do. It's super easy.
Yeah, we just want one of our listeners to win.
These large big green eggs are where it's at. You can smoke or grill, and it can hold up to a 20-pound turkey.
Yeah, it is so fun. So grillonthegreen.com, and thank you, True Aussie Beef and Lamb and the Big Green Egg.
Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight. It's winter.
This is a segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. You can email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professional relationship experts, but you should totally listen to us anyway. If you need professional help, please seek it out.
Fight, food fight, food fight. The food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
Winter, do you have this week's question?
I do. It's a short one.
Oh, okay.
And it even says, quick question, ladies. How do I thwart a fry stealer? Yours, the Hamburglar.
Do you remember the Hamburglar
Totally.
and the Fry Guys?
And Grimace.
Grimace. I loved Grimace. And Mayor McCheese.
Mayor McCheese. I forgot his name was that.
They had a sheriff too. I don't remember. He was like the quarter pounder guy.
Oh, yeah. What is his name? Somebody will tell us.
I don't know.
Are you a...
I'm totally a fry thief.
Me too.
Part of being with me, Ike knows that he just has to accept that he does not get all of his fries.
Yeah, we don't. I always need just a couple. I don't need all of them.
Sometimes I need 10.
10 is fine. 10 is still not even half of the package.
Well, sometimes it's at a restaurant
Oh.
where like it's fancy fries.
And so there really
you don't
is-
get as much.
There's like 20 of them.
Yeah. Well, I usually try not to steal half of his fries then, but like, there's some that get taken.
I think you should just accept it, dude.
Yeah. Share.
What if they steal too many? What if they're like, I'm going for 3/4 of the fries?
I think you need to establish up front how hungry everyone is and what types of food everyone is in the mood for. And if your dining partner did not order the fries, like you need to,
Have a frank discussion about it?
I think you just need to hit on the point that I am hungry for these French fries. Don't take them. And then they'll only take like 2.
Just 2.
We also, Ike and I have a thing like when we go out and not generally. I mean, when I go out with several of my very good friends, we kind of share food. Yeah. We don't eat family style. I mean, I do eat family style with a couple of friends, but not very many. But it's usually like, hey, can I have a, and you give them a good helping bite of, your dish.
So you can just try it.
We went out to dinner one time that was really fun. I don't know if you remember this. It was several years ago. And it was 4 of us girls went out to dinner. And they had a couple of specials at the restaurant. And they all sounded good. So we all ordered a dish. And then we kind of played musical plates. So each person got like a turn with the dish for about like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was so good.
I always have restaurant regret.
Oh, do you?
Like I'm always like, I wish I would have gotten that dish, not the one that's in front of me.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have had restaurant regret, but it's not usual. I peruse the menu though at length.
So
and come to a good I think about what I'm craving or what I can make myself, or maybe I want to try to replicate what this restaurant has on hand, so I'll order that. But
no restaurant regret.
I take a lot of time though. I'm one of those people that sends the waiter back once. At least once.
I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think French fries are a superfluous thing. I only say that because I don't need extra fries.
Nobody needs extra fries, but people want extra fries.
So you should just share. Can you just share?
Why are you a jerk?
Don't be a jerk. Share your dang fries.
And maybe you're just being too greedy.
I mean, if you really like I will fight people for sweet potato fries. If they're crunchy.
Yeah.
They're so good. I mean, like I will get full off of like a handful of them because they're fried. Hello. And then you're eating a burger or something with it. So
I don't know. Order an extra side of fries. Fries are usually pretty cheap. If you're with somebody who's constantly stealing your fries, just order an extra side.
Yeah. And just say, this is for everybody. But just deal with it. Come on. Fries are to be shared.
Yep.
That's all we have to say.
Order more
And deal with it.
Thanks for joining us today on our show. You can find us at hungrysquared.com on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music.
Hey, you guys, will you do us a favor and share this podcast with your friend? You want them to know about Soylent Green, don't you?
And you want them to know that they should share their fries.
Yeah.
Send an episode to your friends.
Yeah, it's good fun. We love meeting new people. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you join us for our next episode of Food Nerdery. Oh, and by the way, you guys, Facebook Live. Hopefully you caught it, but if not, we're going to be grilling some lamb
on
live.
The Big Green Egg.
On the Big Green Egg Live.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Okay, we'll see you next for our next. Join us
Join us next week.
on our next episode of Food. I have way too many necks than that. I should take out one of those.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry squared, yeah, hungry squared.